Fear of the dark. Yeah, I'm not going to keep the lights off for the rest of the review. I was just kidding. I'll let you know when I keep it all the way dark, if you know what I mean. That's because this album, despite its title, is really not all that dark. There are dark moments on it, but it's not like pitch black dark, like bleak. It's pretty much tongue-in-cheek, if anything, really. So this is the first album artwork to not be done by Derek Riggs. I think Melvin Grant is the one who did the artwork here, and I really love this cover. This is one of my, I think one of my top 10, top 5 favorite Iron Maiden album covers. I mean, look how Eddie just like seeps out of the tree there. He looks like he's just about to fucking get you. I love the artwork. I love how Eddie's represented there, even though he has orange eyes, which Eddie shouldn't have orange eyes. Still, I just love how he's represented here. I think the way the Iron Maiden title is off to the side, that looks really cool, and I like the actual title font right there, Fear of the Dark. That is actually really cool looking. I really like that. So yeah, I like the album cover. I feel that this album overall is a very good improvement over No Prayer for the Dying. They've definitely, yeah, everything's improved on this album. Like the production, even though it's at the same place that they recorded No Prayer for the Dying, it was turned into an actual studio, so that's why the production on here is a lot better. It's a lot more crisp. And yeah, the artwork's better, the production's better, and the songwriting itself is better. There's a lot of really good songs on here, and many of them people tend to overlook a lot or just call absolute crap. But some of the songs on here which people call crap, I think I really enjoy. But overall, it's definitely not up to the standards of the 90s albums. Still, yeah, again, a very much needed improvement over No Prayer for the Dying, but there are some pretty weak moments on this album that need addressing. Even though there are a lot of really good songs on here, there are some things on here which make the album feel longer than necessary. It feels like they packed a little too much into the infrastructure of this album. It feels just like maybe they should have honed down a couple of the ideas, or maybe removed a couple of the songs from the track listing, just taken out the weaker songs and just keep the ones which really do leave an impact. So let's have a quick look at the track listing here. Be Quick or Be Dead's a very solid opener. It starts off the album on a good note. From Here to Eternity is one of the worst Iron Maiden songs I've ever heard. I always skip it. Afraid to Shoot Strangers is, it's traditionally always been one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs, period. And I've had the very good fortune of seeing this song live on the Maiden England tour, and I was very lucky. I was very glad that they got to play it, because it's something that they haven't played since the 1990s, since Blaze Bayley, who will sing on the album after this and the album after that. Ever since he left the band. So yeah, it's been a long time since they played this one. When I returned to the studio version, while I still love it, I think its value is kind of chipped away a little bit. I mean, it's not too denigrating or anything like that. It's not like I completely hate it as opposed to the live version, but the studio version isn't as good as when I first heard it, but I still love it. It's still one of my favorites. Fear is the Key is probably the most underrated song on this album. I love this song to death. Everybody else either despises it or they just don't give a shit about it, but I just love it. I love the melody. I love Bruce Dickinson's vocal performance. I love this middle part, like this part right in the middle where the acoustic guitars come in, and he's like, I hear your silent heartbeat, I hear your silent cries. It's like getting a bit faster, more frantic, and I love the song overall. It's just one of the most underrated songs I've ever heard, and this could top Afraid to Shoot Strangers as my favorite song on this album. It has a very good chance of doing so, and it's just a spectacular song. I absolutely love it. Everybody else just doesn't give a shit about it, but I love it. I mean, more people need to see the value in this song. I just go crazy. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorites for sure. Childhood's End is pretty good. It's pretty decent. Wasting Love is another one of my favorites on the album. A very beautiful ballad. I love the acoustic guitar usage. The lyrics are pretty nice, and Bruce Dickinson's vocal performance is one of the best on the album. Yeah, very, very good song. The Fugitive is pretty good again. I like the riffs in the beginning, and I like the keyboard usage, like during the verses. The chorus could use a little bit of work. Yeah, again, it's a fairly decent song. Chains of Misery, I actually really do enjoy this one. I actually really like it. It's definitely not like one of my top tier absolute favorites, but I like it enough. It's actually pretty fun. The Apparition, the lyrics are a bit weird and hokey, but it's still a pretty fun song. I kind of like it. Judas Be My Guide is decent. It's alright. I mean, every time I listen to this album, I always forget about it. Judas Be My Guide. I don't know. It's kind of forgettable. It'd be okay if they take it off the album. I think I'd be fine with that. Weekend Warrior is okay. It's just okay. I'd probably be too embarrassed to show it to anyone else, but I would be fine if they took it off the album. The only thing I really, really like about it is the acoustic guitar usage, like in the intro and all that, but Bruce Dickinson sounds weird, the lyrics are trash, and it's just okay. I'd be fine if they take it off the album, personally. And the last song, the most popular song of the album, Fear of the Dark. Of course, it's the only song on here that people really give a shit about. But yeah, I still really like the song. I still really enjoy it. It still gets me pumped up for live shows and all that. And, well, obviously I've seen it live. It sounds great. And, yeah, I don't really have much to say about it that people have already said about it. It's a live staple. Everybody knows it. Everybody who's a huge Iron Maiden fan would know it. So, yeah, it's just a traditional live staple. It's, yeah, definitely one of the better songs on the album, but not quite my favorite. I still think Afraid to Shoot Strangers and Fear is the Key and Wasting Love are better, but I still like it pretty much a lot, actually. So yeah, that's like the major complaint about this album. There's too many ideas on here. They should definitely have limited it to just like 8 songs, much like some of their earlier albums. So I think the ones that they should have taken off are From Here to Eternity. I hate that song. I guess The Fugitive. Yeah, that needs a little bit of work. I mean, there are parts that are pretty good, again, like the keyboards and stuff, but I don't know, I definitely think it needs a little bit more work done on it. Judas Be My Guide, yeah, it's pretty forgettable. I don't really remember it all that much, except for like the chorus, but I don't know, for some reason I tend to forget about that song, so yeah, pretty forgettable. And Weekend Warrior. Weekend Warrior, yeah, it needs some work done in it. I kind of don't want to show it to my friends or anything because I kind of feel embarrassed about listening to it. If I were to show this to my friends, I kind of feel awkward. So yeah, that needs work done, or at least not put on the album at all. But the ones I didn't mention, Be Quaker, Be Dead, Afraid to Shoot Strangers, Fear is the Key, Childhood's End, Wasting Love, Chains of Misery, The Apparition, and Fear of the Dark. I think they should just keep the album with those songs and just taking out all the other ones. So yeah, that's my thought on like the track listing and how they should have taken care of that, just filtering out some of the average to bad ideas. With that said, this is one of the most underrated albums in Iron Maiden's discography, I think. It's definitely not among my favorites. In fact, it's still like in the bottom to middle tier somewhere, but I still really enjoy this album for what it is. I really enjoy all the good songs on here. A couple of them ranging among my all-time favorites. If it weren't for the more average to bad ideas that Iron Maiden were sort of churning out at this point, mostly because of like a creative struggle with Bruce Dickinson, who wanted to go on his solo career, and the rest of the band themselves. I think this album would have been much more better received. I think people wouldn't be just listening to the song Fear the Dark and nothing else. They would listen to the rest of the album, because there are some damn good songs on here that people tend to overlook. But yeah, that's really all I have really to say about this album. Definitely a improvement over No Prayer for the Dying, but it's still sort of a patchy listen. There are some mediocre moments here and there that sprinkle this album, so it's definitely not one of the absolute top tier classics or anything. But I definitely really enjoy this album for what it is and all the good songs that it has on it. So if you can look past some of the more mediocre moments on this album, then I highly recommend that you pick this album up. It would get about a 7.75 to an 8 out of 10 from me personally. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this album. It's a very good album with some mediocre moments sprinkled throughout, which kind of makes the flow a bit awkward, so to speak. But yeah, again, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time for the Blaze Bayley era with the X Factor.